And hello everybody and welcome here to Talladega Superspeedway No Walls version as we get ready for the 5th annual NNSCRA Royal Rumble. Been a long time since I had the sign-ups here, but so glad to be able to get this out. And I got a special commentator in the booth that's been waiting just as long as I have for this thing to happen. James McCloud in the booth with me. James, thanks for being here for this event.
Always. It has been far, far too long. There's been so much anticipation for this, and I'm so excited to finally get this rock and rolling.
And now we're going to be ended up having something maybe take place today that's never happened before. We've had 3 different former winners of this event. Aaron Williams won the very first one. Chris Jones, who I still am trying to figure out who he even is, he won the second one. And then the last 2 have been won by the same person, which has really never been heard of. Charles Jackson winning in the 3rd and 4th Royal Rumbles, and he's in this field here today. What do you think his chances might be to maybe go 3 in a row?
I don't know. Charles has always, in terms of regular racing, has always been kind of a mid-tier restrictor plate racer. You don't really think of Charles Jackson whenever you think of going to a regular Talladega race or a regular Daytona race. But you know what? This is the Royal Rumble. Charles has this air about him, and I honestly think he can pull off a three-peat here.
For those that are wondering, we're using the Bullring 13 CTS physics, but we're going to take a look here at our keys to winning the race. And of course, the first thing, you don't want to get an early entry. You want to be as close to the end as possible.
Wait, hold on. There are keys in NASCAR cars?
Yeah, there are keys to NASCAR cars.
Start them up! Yeah, you definitely don't want to be early. Doesn't work out too well usually. Coming in late, well, it's not like you really have a choice, but coming in late really does help. It's the Royal Rumble.
And then, of course, eliminations. Eliminations basically occur if you go off the racing surface. The only place where that's slightly different is the apron between turns 1 and 2, turns 3 and 4, and then there's a dotted white line coming out of turn 4 where drivers would normally go to make pit stops. If you cross that with all 4 tires, you're eliminated, so you got to try to avoid elimination. And then, of course, the last thing, at the end of this race, after we end up having our 50 entries come in at 1 lap intervals, I should say, apiece, we're going to have that 10-lap shootout at the very end to win this thing.
Yeah, definitely. And that 10-lap shootout gets really, really hectic. You throw eliminations, you throw all of that out the window. Well, yeah, for the most part, you throw it all out the window because that's what you need to do. I can't talk right now. Wow. It's been so long since I've even, hyped up a race. But, the 10-lap shootout is what everyone's aiming for. You want to try and stay alive as long as possible because that's where you shine in terms of speed.
So, in your opinion, what do you think is the key number to come into this race to try and survive into that 10-lap shootout?
42.
42. All right.
42.
We'll see if entry number 42 makes it in. So we're going to now go trackside and get this race underway.
All right, let's go.
So as we get set here, first 2 entries. Entry number 1 going to be Tim Walsh, the number 55 Aaron's Dream Machine. Alongside him, ironically, the 56 of Kyle Corbett. Now, one thing we got to point out to people here is these drivers, yeah, they're driving rides out of Michael Waltrip Racing, but in this race, they are not teammates by any stretch of the imagination.
Granted, since they are the first 2 entries, I expect them to work together. I really don't think usually when we are this early into it, they both just want to survive. They're not looking for eliminations just quite yet. So I'm expecting to see a little friendly racing for the first minute or so.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that for sure because, to eliminate yourself here in the very first round, that would kind of really be silly because, these guys don't want to come in as entry number 1, but that's how the way the die's been cast is the green flag's out. Now they're going to race around for just 1 lap. Last season it was 2 laps. However, it kind of stretched out. Not much seemed to happen in the second lap. So we're just doing it with 1 lap for these guys to be able to work with in trying to make eliminations and trying to survive.
Yeah, definitely. The second lap, usually people realize after a giant wreck happens that they shouldn't wreck anymore in fear of getting themselves out. Another thing is, once you have a lower number of cars, like we have right now, we have 2 cars right now, it's weird to think about it, but it increases your chances of getting out, because the less cars there are on track, the more likelihood you have of being the one that gets knocked out.
And I know it's a long ways till we get to entry number 15 to that 10-lap shootout, but these guys, of course, they want to survive, so do you at this point start maybe sizing up your opponents in case both of you make it to that 10-lap shootout?
See, what I've seen from personal experience is that you look at the cars and you try and check out each other's driving style because people drive differently in this race than they do in a regular sprint cup race or in a regular mobile race. I mean, a regular Snickers or a mobile race.
And there you see entry number 3 is going to come in. James Silverfox, ironically, another Toyota out of the Michael Waltrip Racing stable. So this is quite interesting. 3 drivers that, if this were any other kind of a series, they'd be teammates.
This is definitely rigged, isn't it, Seth?
This is definitely rigged, yes. No, I will honestly tell you, I did go through random.org, went through all the numbers. The list is completely compiled according to the random.org thing, but it's just a weird case of irony.
All right. Well, I guess it's and they're all blue cars too.
They are. They're all blue cars, and it's weird. It's like we're looking at Michael Waltrip Racing testing or something. But again, early on, they're racing single file, not willing to really race it up at all.
Yeah. I'm thinking, would it be interesting to see if I know teammates don't come into play here, but will they be racing each other a little more cautiously because they are teammates?
Well,
just a little bit for now.
Yeah, for now I think they would. I mean, honestly, the main goal is to get to the very end, and they got a long ways to get through in order to do that. As here comes 4th entry, it's going to be the number 81 of Cold Alley. So first time
we
got no, it's not a Toyota. It's a Chevy.
It's a Chevy, okay.
And just letting people know too, the way that these guys start off and everything, that again, completely random, left up to the discretion of the game. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you're coming in, you're going to start on the pole position as the new entry. It's just completely random. As you saw, Daly started 3rd out of these 4 drivers. But again, that's key. I mean, if you start near the back, good chance to ride around. If you're up at the front, maybe more pressure. You never know.
That 56 of Corbett was all over Silver Fox on that back straightaway. It was almost looking like...
Whoa, Silver Fox,
oh my
way
gosh.
up there! Oh, he's over the edge! That's an elimination! He just eliminated himself!
I don't know what happened there. Oh, I think I have an idea.
Okay.
Because he was getting a push down that back straightaway, and I think he literally just got drafted off to the point where he picked up so much speed where he wasn't expecting to go so fast in the corner, and he just lost it.
That's a big possibility here, too, because these drivers run with no restrictor plates. The cars can get up to almost 230 miles per hour, and that's a good possibility there. And looks like James Silverfox will not be moving on to the next round. That's unfortunate for him. Came in last round, eliminated in 1 round, as here comes his replacement, entry number 5, Eric Burton in the 78, which ironically was the ride that won the first Royal Rumble with Aaron Williams behind the wheel. So we'll see if maybe lightning can strike twice for the 78 team.
Well, I hate to be a Debbie Downer and everything, but that's kind of going to be difficult in starting position number, 5? But I think he can do it.
So we've already got 1 elimination, that being James Silverfox. Of course, all the drivers going to be checked in the infield care center because of the wild rides that this track can bring about, and we just saw the one that Silverfox had. And oh,
whoa,
what is Burton doing? Well, he's
teasing us, I think.
Yeah, he saved it, but I think James Silverfox just proved that line is not a very safe place to be. And as we saw with James Silverfox too, you don't necessarily have to be eliminated by somebody. You can eliminate yourself if you go in the out-of-bounds area.
Actually, I was thinking, can we almost give Kyle Corbett that elimination if that draft thing came into play?
Well, no, they are scoring it though as James Silverfox because the drivers do have that opportunity if they do carry too much speed. They can slam on the brakes or something. They are allowed to do whatever is possible to stay in this race. And James Silverfox apparently just thought he could run that high line, but unfortunately there's no safer barrier up there for them to be able to bump against. It's absolute desolation out there.
No holds bar in this race, definitely. And this is, what is it, the 74 or the 24? I can't tell.
That's 74 there. Derek Pemberton. I believe that's Rigid Tools on the sponsorship for that car. Right now he's side by side, and oh boy, Eric Burton moving Cold Alley up the track there. It looks like when we get more cars on here, they're more anxious to race.
Yeah, actually, I just about came back down on Burton, showing his displeasure over there.
Yeah.
After he got moved up, he almost came down, tried knocking Burton onto the apron and having him lose control.
Oh,
Thought
wow.
better of it, though.
Corbett just went down 2 tires beneath the yellow line there on the apron. Now, again, you can do that as long as all 4 Goodyears do not go into the out-of-bounds situation. You can have 1 tire still in bounds and still remain in this race, and Corbett apparently decided to just kind of bail out of that situation for the moment. So we're getting ready to put 6 cars on track at the same time for the first time today. Entry number 7 coming in. It's going to be the Dodge of Joshua Michaels.
You know what? That's the first Dodge I've seen in a long time. I don't know, or I mean, I know we were on Dodges and
Whoa,
Snickers,
whoa,
but
whoa, whoa, no!
oh, okay,
Okay.
oh
Oh, there goes Dally. Collected
no,
Eric
triple
Burton.
win, quadruple. Oh, I think we lost the 55 too.
Yep, first entry of the day. Tim Walsh eliminated. We'll take a look there at the Royal Rumble split cam, see what happened. Looks like, yeah, I think Pemberton came down to Dally. And there they go.
That is crazy. I actually want to also check if Joshua Michaels stayed on track after that.
Yeah, they're
I
saying
think
he did. Yeah, they say he stayed on.
Because he darted down the inside, but I think he held onto it before hitting the apron.
It'll be interesting to see how they score the elimination on that, too, because there was a lot of contact made between several drivers. This looked like Pemberton, Michaels, and Corbett. Those three are going to move on, but we've got 3 eliminations just like that, and boy, we got, what, 6 cars on track for the first time? It didn't take long for eliminations to take place there.
Yeah, they get really antsy anytime you get more than 3 of them on there.
And they were 4 wide going into 1 the first time, so here comes our next entry. Entry number 8 will be Jessica Villanueva. And according to the scoring, they are saying Tim Walsh was actually eliminated by the move that Derek Pemberton made on Cole Dally. But Cole Dally was actually eliminated by Eric Burton, who also eliminated himself because apparently the 81 had it saved and got turned off the racetrack by the 78.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a really weird situation, but it happens, I guess.
I guess they, the scoring saying that Cole Dally would have been able to keep it together, and Burton messed that up. But there again, you see single file between these 4. I've seen this year in and year out with these Royal Rumbles too. They'll get racing with each other, then big elimination will take place, and then they're like, okay, let's just ride around for a little bit. But I'll tell you, it's not going to last long.
It really isn't, but the one thing I have noticed is that no matter how many cars it is, if you drop from 7 cars down to 6 cars, even if it's just 1 elimination, they'll race a little cleaner the next round.
Yeah. Just takes like a little bit of a wake-up call for them. As here comes Trent Dunham, entry number 9. Definitely a low entry for Trent Dunham to have to try and make his way through here. And Trent not running the usual number 1, amazingly enough, driving the 42 instead. We'll see if maybe a little bit of a change-up in ride will be some good luck for him.
Yeah, we're used to seeing Trent in either the 1 or the 8, but this time I think the 42 can bring him some good luck. Well, maybe not with the starting order, but it's something. Maybe everyone will think it's not Trent.
That's a possibility. They'll be like, hey, this guy, maybe he's not Trent Dunham, and we won't wreck him. Maybe a little reverse psychology being played out here.
I have seen weirder things happen here in the NNSCRA.
One thing, though, that we're seeing... Whoa!
Whoa!
Corbett and Villanueva nearly wrecking it up.
But they held onto it, but that was really, really tight going through the tribal right there.
That was a great save by Corbett. Villanueva very early on here trying to find an elimination, but not going to get it. All 5 of them miraculously survived this one. And like we did before, we got 6 cars on... Oh, my goodness!
Oh, right off the bat!
That was Corbett, and I think Michaels off the nose of Villanueva. Now, I'm being told that if they went off track after they crossed the start-finish line, it does result in an elimination. So we're going to have to see via the split cam here whether or not... Wow, we got a little bit of a choppy video there. Yeah, they crossed the stripe before they went off track, so that means that both Michaels and Corbett, just like that, they're gone.
And weirdly enough, I know Villanueva was being a little bit aggressive at the end of last round. Corbett looks like he wrecked himself there almost. He went up onto the nose of Villanueva for some odd reason and ended up taking them both out.
Yeah, and Michaels getting collected in as well, so Jessica Villanueva being credited with 2 eliminations on that. As we didn't even get to say Dougie Shears there, entry number 10 in the 95. He'll survive to the next round. Now we're ready for entry number 11. So again, 6 cars on track, and before you know it, we're down to 4.
Well, that's just how it rolls. I'm really glad Dougie Shears actually made it, because I would have hated for him to be eliminated without even...
Okay, again!
Villanueva, very, very aggressive on these starts. Oh my gosh, who got right that time?
That time, Derek Pemberton in the 74. Exactly the same thing that happened to Kyle Corbett and Joshua Michaels before. Villanueva turns him off the track, and before we even get to turn 1, Villanueva has 3 eliminations now.
You know, I'm thinking, this is probably a very, very good strategy, though. wreck the people right after the start, or yeah, right after the start finish line. Back off. See, Villanueva has maybe 5-10 car lengths
Oh,
back.
Breeden! No, Breeden's off track!
That was very, very quick.
Shades of Silver Fox. And Connor Breeden didn't even make it to turn 3, and his I don't know if it's really his debut. I think he's been in a previous one, but anyway, into his appearance, shall we say, into the Royal Rumble. So that may actually be the closest. That may be like the Santino Marella of the Royal Rumble, the shortest amount of time in this season's Royal Rumble or something.
Oh, and this one it might end up being. I'll keep a track of it. Turn 3, I guess.
Yep,
so.
turn 3.
Nathan Hudson, the new entry.
Number 99 out of Roush Fenway Racing. So, oh man, he's right on Trent Dunn's back bumper.
And actually, I think he's trying to pull up Jessica Villanueva right here, trying to get an early elimination. Didn't quite work out this time, though, so he's going to give Trent the push down the straightaway and see what can happen.
And, you know, the thing about eliminations, too, is what you're doing is you're trying to be behind somebody, and you're aiming for either the left or right rear quarter panel.
Yeah. Although, another thing I have seen people do is, if you can get right up next to someone on a turn, slam them down below the apron and then back off and have them shoot back up the track.
I don't know if anybody picked it up, but we did have a problem. My parents came home, and so we had to kind of cut, and we're back. So anyway.
We're good, right back into it. Yeah.
Yeah, professionalism, as Ralph Mason would say.
Hey, well, I'm even wearing a tie, so...
Hey, there you go. I'm not wearing a tie, though. As here's entry number 13, Chris Kyle. Another Dodge, the number 65 Husky Tools Dodge.
Hey, look, my third favorite number and my fourth favorite manufacturer.
There you go.
But yeah, Chris Kyle actually doing the smart thing right now. Hanging back. Not exactly a bad strategy. The only time I've ever seen that go wrong is if someone really, like, wrecks right in front of you.
And, you know, not to steal a page out of somebody else's playbook, but that's kind of what Charles Jackson did last season. I think he came in somewhere around, like, 30th out of 40 entries or something, and he was able to ride at the back for most of the time, and that's what helped him survive to the 10-lap shootout. So, you know, not a bad strategy at all. As you can see them up here at the front. Yeah, they're racing side by side, but they were giving room that time. So this is, I think, what really these guys have to do to make it into that final 10-lap segment.
You know, other than Villanueva, I feel like she can just wreck anyone she wants right after the start-finish line and she's set.
It's like she's invincible or something right now, it seems.
Invincible cheats. Alright, Mac and Cheese is up now.
Oh yeah. Mac and Cheese on the track, and usually not such good stuff happens when he's on there, but anyway, it's going to be 3-4 wide off this corner, and I don't like the look of this.
Oh! Villanueva, oh!
They're both off. They're both off. Oh, and then Trent! There goes Trent! And Trent's not happy. Trent is not happy with Villanueva. He's pushing her all the way up the track.
Oh my gosh, what just happened?
That is one way to take out your frustration on another. Oh, okay.
If I was a lesser man, I would say something.
Well, that just happened. Oh my goodness. Villanueva up into Dougie Shears. She gets credited for yet another elimination of the 95. And then she just kind of came down into Trent, door banged him. And I don't know if Trent came up and was not appreciating that. But if that's the case, then Trent eliminated himself. No, they're saying that Villanueva
came down
and made him go off track. So that's 3 eliminations right there for Villanueva. That is 5 eliminations total. And now here comes entry number 15, John Cittadino in the 34.
Well, Villanueva's been aggressive. I can't say anything against that.
I'll tell you, too. I mean, this is a kind of track where there's no points. It's just try and make it into that final 10-lap segment. So tempers can definitely flare here for sure.
And actually, now that I'm looking at it, Villanueva has taken out every single opponent she's raced, other than Hudson. This,
right. Yeah, you're right.
Wow.
Yeah, every single opponent. She came in at entry number 8. And aside from Hudson, as you mentioned, every other entry was eliminated by somebody before that slot. So, you're right. Every entry that came on after Villanueva, or that was on when she came on, she was the one that eliminated them. Ironic right there.
Well, talk about aggression, but apparently that strategy doesn't work out too well after a while. So something for these drivers to keep in their back pocket for later on, for the later entries.
And I'm really impressed. That was a great call by you because I actually did not notice that. That's why we got him in the commentators booth, folks.
I try.
Jay Barker in the Danica Patrick number 10, and we'll see if maybe we can have a better driver than Danica. I don't know.
Well,
Yep,
actually, no. Danica would be good right now. It's a wrecking race. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this is right up her alley.
Well, she's not here, unfortunately. We have to deal with Jay Barker instead. But hopefully he can get some eliminations under his belt as well.
And we are nearing, ironically enough, I mean, these are going by very, very quickly. As I said, it's only one lap, but it does take them a while to get around this racetrack, and we are up right now to Jay Barker as entry number 17, or make that number 16. We are getting very close to the halfway point of this thing already.
Yeah, it's flying by, and honestly, this one-lap format was a really good call, because on the NNSCRA's part, it's getting it done quickly, and we're still seeing these eliminations. It's not like these cars are building up and we just have a billion cars running around on track.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. If I remember correctly, when NNSCRA was announced that they were going to do it be the one-lap thing, as we see Charles Sanford on track now, 27, they were saying that basically what happened in the last few seasons is when they had 2 laps they had to go around, a lot of elimination took place, and we actually several times had to bring in 2 more entries because everybody that was on track at the time got eliminated. So to try to avoid that, they ended up putting it down to just 1 lap, and we're seeing it's actually working out really well here.
Yeah, really a big fan of this format, and I have to credit the NNSCRA with some really good calls in terms of this.
Now, Charles Sanford, I talked with him before this race, and he said the reason he chose the 27 was he's had a lot of luck with that particular number, and so we'll see if maybe Lady Luck will be on his side again as he's in that,
Oh, speaking of O!
Jay Barker on the apron. Now, I don't know, did he go all the way beneath the yellow line, though? We're going to look at the camera angle and see. Boy,
I don't know, I can't tell.
I think he made it. I think he stayed on, but Chris Kyle also went in the apron, and I didn't see him, but he actually went off track, as we see there.
I didn't even catch that with all the excitement, but yeah, they are scoring the 10 still on. Jay Barker is staying in this race.
And there's also saying that Jay Barker actually made the contact with Chris Kyle, which sent him off the racetrack. So the elimination goes to the 10, but he still stays on, as apparently we got a little bit of a blackout here, but don't worry, it pops back up. There we go. And it's going to be Joshua Balkowitz in the 83, so that was quite a save by Jay Barker. I would love to know just exactly how close he was to elimination, because those tires must have been close. Oh, Sanford!
And Barker.
And now Barker's off, and he's rubbing doors there with Sanford. Balkowitz is off. John Zedadino is off, and I don't know who's eliminated in all of that.
Remember, guys, if you get eliminated and you manage to make your way back on track, you are still allowed to take other people out.
Good point. I'd forgotten about mentioning that. You were absolutely right.
So, Barker can still take people out for the next 10, 20 feet.
I don't know if Sanford is out or not, though. I couldn't tell.
Oh, I wasn't even paying attention to the split cam, so well, I guess we'll see how the NNSCRA scores it.
Yeah, if the 27's not on, then he's been eliminated, but I don't know if he was taken out and all of that or not. I think he might have kept it on track, but I'm not certain. We do know Jay Barker is out, though. He went off into the grass there and off the track, and of course Balkowitz and John Sedino early exits for them, and apparently, yes, Sanford is still on track, so he was able to keep it within the boundaries of the racetrack, as next entry is Cody Lamas in the 18.
Wow, well then that was an absolutely amazing save by Sanford. Great credit to him. And now I'm looking back at it. Nathan Hudson is, like I mentioned before, the longest running person on this track right now. I think we've just gone through maybe 7-8 cars. Hudson's on a straight line.
Oh, there goes Sanford, and Hudson eliminated him. Yep,
Oh,
Sanford
wow.
off track, eliminated by Nathan Hudson. Well, he survived that one round, but didn't survive this one. And there you see it. Textbook elimination.
Textbook.
And
Yeah,
look at how Hudson never even touched that yellow line. He was right borderline, but never even touched it. He stayed right within the boundaries there with that elimination. That was a nice piece of driving by the 99.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to mention just as he was wrecking. Hudson's been making some really smart calls over the last 10 entries or so, and he's been holding it pretty well. That's the first time I've ever seen him get aggressive enough or ballsy enough to make an elimination there, but it played out in his favor. That was a very, very well done elimination.
And that'll bring on entry number 20, Zachary Fitzwater in the 31. And to your point about Nathan Hudson, Hudson came in entry number 12. He's now in his, this would be his 9th round of this event, and that, I believe, is actually the highest running at the current moment.
Yeah, the longest streak so far. We'll see how long he can keep it going. Doing the smart thing, I think. He's staying down low and possibly, he was getting really close to that rear quarter panel of that Verizon Chevrolet over there. But possibly is hanging back, pulling that strategy of not trying to be overly aggressive, not trying to put his name out there to the point where people are going to want to wreck him, like, say, people were gunning at Villanueva earlier.
Kind of maybe the term conservatively aggressive, because we saw when he saw the opportunity to eliminate Sanford, he took it, but he really hasn't been putting himself out there to make eliminations like we saw Jessica Villanueva do earlier.
Exactly, and it doesn't look like he's trying to play almost, like you were saying, conservatively aggressive. Makes you out to not be like a bully on track, and it doesn't make you as big of a target.
Right, it actually is more of an intimidation factor rather than being the target. More drivers are kind of watching you, kind of figuring, okay, is he going to be aggressive now, or is he going to just be, riding around or something? As you see Danny Wells, entry number 21 on track there in the 29, and Hudson kind of moving him up the track there. Now, that's one thing that these drivers can do, too, is they can kind of move drivers up the racetrack, maybe force them off the turn. We saw a little bit of an example of that with that whole thing of Kyle Corbett and James Silverfox all the way back at the very beginning of this event.
One thing I've been noticing, and I'm not sure if it's been happening in the past Royal Rumbles, I can't recall, but coming off of turn 2, these guys come up on a really, really high line to come off that banking. And
yeah, they carry a lot of speed through there. Yeah, a lot of speed through turn 2, and I've noticed that too, because, you'll see drivers start in turn 1 down almost to the apron, but there's so much speed and so much grip at this track, they're almost up into maybe the second groove down from the top once they exit turn number 2.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm not sure if that's her strategy or if it's just the way they've been racing, but it's scary, if nothing else.
It could be some experimentation, too, because like we said, these drivers not only are trying to eliminate each other and survive into that 10-lap segment, but they want to be able to have a little bit of an edge on those drivers that come in later in these rounds to be able to be like, hey, I know that there's a groove here that works, and maybe I can use that again to make it to the next round. There goes Levi McIntyre, Danny Wells, and Cody Lamas.
And wow, Hudson just about got slammed back onto or by back was that, I'm not sure if that was 18 or what, I couldn't even think. Lamas almost came back down on track and almost took Hudson out, but Hudson,
we'll see. Yeah, there's the contact.
I just really want to see, because Hudson just pulled such an amazing save right there. Just nice, calm, cool, collected. You're going to see, I think, right there, Cody Lamas start coming back down, and Hudson just moves so eloquently down that track and keeps himself alive.
That was a nicely done job by him, and it looks like the contact that started that might have been from Zachary Fitzwater's 31 into Lamas, and indeed they are crediting him the elimination of Cody Lamas and Levi McIntyre. I'm waiting to hear if they're going to credit him the elimination of Danny Wells as well, and indeed they are.
Wow, so that's 3 early. I still don't think anyone's going to catch Villanueva. I'm calling my shot. I think Villanueva's probably going to leave as the elimination queen today.
Yeah, right now she is out of the race, but she has 6 eliminations to her credit so far in this event. So, yeah, it's going to be very tough for someone to be able to catch up to her. But Van Hoot right now at 3. The only other driver that is currently on track is the Nathan Hudson machine. And at the current moment, he only has 2 eliminations.
Oh, Hudson with a block.
Whoa. That's on Kenny McCrory there in the 30, and Kenny puts 2 tires down beneath the yellow, but keeps it still completely, on track. Oh! Was that? Wait a minute. That was after the start-finish line. After the line, and the ruling is if they make it past the start-finish line, regardless of what happens, they're still in. So I don't think this will count as an elimination. I think Marley is still okay, and fortunately for him too, looks like that car is still in one piece.
That was so close, so that was right after the line.
Yep, right there. You see, there's where he went off track, but he was past the start-finish line, so Marley will continue on. And there's just maybe a little bit of right side damage. The drivers are allowed between rounds to come down, repair any damage they might have. and very little damage. So Marley continues on, and here's entry number 24, Austin LaPlante in the 39.
I still just can't say enough, and I know I'm tooting his horn a little bit, but Nathan Hudson's been making some really, really good moves. I mean, down through the tri-oval at that last segment, I don't even know how he held that car together.
I mean, Hudson's been doing a great job. He's got great car control, as we saw with the... He didn't jerk it to the left when Cody Lamas came back down on track. He just kind of eased it over towards the inside of the track and completely avoided the spinning Camry. I mean, Hudson's doing exactly what you've got to do, and that's not panic. If you make those aggressive moves and, try and make your way through wrecks really aggressively... Oh, there goes
panicking. Ooh.
There goes Zachary Fitzwater off the nose of House in the plant. I think he tried to come back and get the 39.
See, I don't even think LaPlante really was trying to wreck the 31 there. I mean, he came off turn 4, got loose, and LaPlante just he had to hit the throttle, otherwise he would have gotten hit.
And I'm not certain Fitzwater might have been coming back for a little bit of revenge there to take the 39 out, but for those of you that didn't see it, that dotted white line heading down to pit road off turn 4, that counts as like the yellow line around this racetrack in that particular portion of the track. And so not only did Fitzwater go over that, but he also went over the yellow line there on the apron in the tri-oval. So he's eliminated, and the next entry on track is our midway point, and that's Chris Washer in the 87.
Wow, halfway already. Although, I mean, this is looking really good so far. I cannot wait to see what the tail end of this Royal Rumble looks like.
And this gives you a big picture into maybe what to expect, too. 25 entries, and right now we've only got 5 drivers on track. Already 20 drivers completely eliminated from battling for this win.
I know, it actually kind of puts it all in perspective. Although you really think coming to a Royal Rumble, every single year we haven't really had more than, I think our record's been, 8 or 9 on track?
I think you're right. I think it was like 8, and I think that was back in season... I think that was actually back in season 1.
Yeah, so it's really not that frequent, or we don't frequently have too many cars on track. But it does kind of put it into perspective when you say, oh wow, we've just cycled through 20 drivers who've been eliminated.
The record for most in the shootout at the end was actually 2, and that was in the second Royal Rumble when it was 1-on-1, and Chris Jones was the one that ended up picking up that victory. We got now 6 drivers on track. Dylan Young in the number 13, and this is going to be so hard for me to be able to say Dylan Young in that ride because so used to seeing Dylan Young in the 2, and the 2 is on track, but it's not Dylan Young behind the wheel, so this is going to be difficult for me.
And speaking of the 2, looks like he was trying to make an
elimination
there we
go.
Marley.
That was LaPlante and Washer, and both of them are off track. They're both out.
Well, it was looking like Marley was going to make that elimination, but looks like was it LaPlante getting credited with it? Actually, no. I think Washer might get credited with that one because he came down on LaPlante.
We're waiting to hear the scoring, and they're saying it's LaPlante. LaPlante actually ran Washer up the track and off the racetrack, but was not able to keep his car on track. So LaPlante is out, Washer is out, and we're left with 4 that'll make it here to the line and transfer into the next round. So we're getting ready now, heading into the second half of this event. And what do you think? Is the ante upped here for these drivers, or is this now a chance where they're like, hey, we're getting closer towards the end, now we really got to try and survive, let's not race it up as much?
I don't know who's playing what strategy, but whatever strategy Nathan Hudson's playing, I'm on board.
Yeah, there you go. Hudson's still in this thing, been in since entry number 12. We're now up to entry number 27. He's been in this thing for 16 rounds so far. I think it's going to be hard for anybody, even if Hudson gets eliminated. I don't think anybody's going to be able to top that today. Definitely an endurance run for that 99.
And he's still playing it smart. Look at that, dropping back and everything. He's playing the smart. Actually, I just realized this is kind of a Ford-dominated field at this point.
You're right, it is. There's 4 out of the 5 cars here are Ford Fusions. Not all out of the same manufacturer stable, though. One's a Penske, one's a Wood Brothers, one's a Germain, and one's a Roush. But still, you're right, a lot of Fords up here. And that's interesting, too, because, I've been told that a Ford will draft better with a Ford than it will with a Toyota. And so, there's an opportunity here that maybe some of these guys don't want to race each other so much, so that way they can maybe make it to that final 10 laps and work together.
Yeah, that's definitely an option. Granted, the draft scares me at this place because of the no-walls, because of the high banking. Going faster than the 230, 40 miles an hour that you're going already is a daunting thought.
It certainly is, and you got to have a lot of car control there. And not only that, but you got to think, and I'm not certain if these guys have done this. I've not actually been on this track, not tested. Whoa!
Whoa!
Little tempers flaring there between Shelton and Young as nearly the 13 was eliminated. That was close.
13 had almost all 4 of his tires out on the grass. I think he held on to it. I think he's okay, but that was really, really close.
And I don't think he appreciated that because there was some door banging going on down the back straightaway. But again, quickly to my point that I was going to say, whoa, Young hanging on by a tire there out of 4. But, these guys, I would think maybe they can drag the brake a little bit here. Not really sure that letting out of the throttle is going to decrease their speed because of the way that the draft is so tight.
Yeah, there's that, and on top of that, a lot of people don't realize this, but when you let go of the throttle, it actually kills your momentum. It's better for you to drag the brake than to let go of the throttle, because when you let go of the throttle, your car starts slowing down to the point where you can't regain that momentum, and it's harder to accelerate back up. It's really weird to explain it.
Chris Louviere, entry number 29 is... Ooh, whoa! Zeke Marley, Nathan Hudson! Oh, Hudson around!
Saves it!
Hudson's still in! Wait, they're still in bounds! Agent Navarro's out, but they're still in bounds!
Hudson!
No way! Holy cow! McCrory and Hudson saved it!
What were you... I can't say enough about Nathan Hudson. I can't. How do you save that? How do you not get eliminated?
Four-wheel slide. Now, both rear tires are over the line. They're over the out-of-bounds line. But in order for an elimination, the 2 front tires had to be as well, and Kenny McCrory never left the racing line. He stayed in bounds. There you saw Navarro. He is obviously out, so tough break for him, but good heavens. I don't understand that. I mean,
Hudson had to wheel that.
Literally.
I'm fangirling right now. Hudson,
and how about everybody else avoiding him so that way he was able to get control of that car?
Nathan Hudson, you've just earned yourself a new fan. I will buy one of your hats.
So Kenny McCrory, Nathan Hudson move into the next round. Navarro is out. Navarro's elimination actually being credited, ironically, to the sideways Nathan Hudson. But anyway, man. Next entry is Austin Weiner in the 43.
I don't even know what to say. I can't talk anymore. McCrory and Hudson just blew my mind. McCrory, I'll buy one of your hats too. Kenny?
If you are sideways, off of turn 2, and you're able to save it, plus get an elimination at the same time, I mean, that's what winning this Royal Rumble is all about.
Yeah, whatever strategy Nathan Hudson is on, I'm on board. I don't know what he's doing. I'm
not sure he has a strategy. I think things are just, like, working out in his favor. Look at 4 wide! Yikes!
Kenny, I'll buy one of your hats too, because it's unfair. You just made a crazy save too. I'm fangirling over Nathan, but Kenny, I will buy one of your hats if you're listening.
Oh my goodness, you could definitely feel it's intensifying up as the rounds tick away here, nearing that 10-lap segment. We now have 6 drivers moving into the next round, and the next entry that'll be coming up is going to be entry number 31, and that's going to be the one of Bob Jones.
Actually,
McDonald's
7
Chevrolet.
drivers this time around too.
Yeah.
That's getting up there in terms of how many we can handle. I want to see who's going out.
This might be the most drivers we've had on track, because it seems like when they get up to 6, an elimination always seems to occur. This might be the most drivers we've had on track at one point this race.
I believe you're correct. Oh, no!
There they go. Oh, Hudson!
That was Hudson.
Why did Hudson just drove off the track, I think?
I'm going to cry.
Dylan Young, Zeke Marley, and let's look here. There's contact. Oh, Zeke got into the... Oh, Hudson got into the back. Oh, Hudson was eliminated by Louviere. It was a stack-up. Marley into the back of Young, Hudson into the back of Marley, and then Louviere into the back of Hudson, and that's what forced Hudson off track. So the longest-running driver of the day is out due to a stack-up.
That wasn't even an elimination. It's so sad.
That is a tough break for Hudson, man.
That is absolutely rough, though. All right, Kenny, you're my new favorite driver.
Kenny McCurry, new favorite driver. All right, so we got 5 drivers now, and here comes the guy that's won this event the last 2 seasons, Charles Jackson in the 32, trying to, for an unprecedented 3rd time in a row, win this event, but not exactly getting the benefit of the draw, 32nd in this event. So he's got about
Where did he
19.
win it from?
Oh,
Oh, okay,
okay.
wow, that was quick.
That was very quick. Bob Jones, Louviere out. But oh, little contact there. But to your point, they're not eliminated until they cross the start finish line. They can still take drivers out.
Now, what I was thinking was, when did Charles come in on his last win? Do you remember? Because
If I'm not mistaken, Charles Jackson came in, I think last season, only 2 entries away from the final entry.
I could have sworn it was or one of them. I could have sworn it was earlier, but
it might have been the third. It might have been the third Royal Rumble, but I don't remember.
I feel like 32 is doable, though. If you're in that second half of the field, it is doable to try and, or it's feasible to try and make your way to the end there. Because we just saw a long, long streak by Hudson. I think Jackson still has an opportunity here.
Ooh, you saw right there, Bob Jones and Louviere getting into it. Now, Louviere eliminated Bob Jones and himself the last round, so tempers flying between the 98 and the 1 is here comes Kyle Collins at entry number 33. And we had a lot of cars on track about 3 rounds ago, and now we're left with 4. Eliminations are definitely occurring again.
Granted, Kenny McCrory finds himself in a familiar position here, surrounded by multiple Fords. This has happened 3 times, I think.
Yeah, Fords have definitely been dominating here, at least between the midway point and on. And I'm actually looking to see what the eliminations were, and they're saying that Nathan Hudson was eliminated by the Chris Louviere machine. Dylan Young eliminated by Zeke Marley, and Marley eliminated himself.
What is
Whoa!
Kyle Collins doing here? That was a
hanging
highline.
on by a tire. According to the scoring monitor, his left front was the only one still in bounds.
That is kind of scary. Kyle, what are you doing?
Playing with fire, apparently, but he will at least survive into the next round here.
Alright, well, let's see who's coming up now.
What if it's another Ford? What if it's another
That would
Ford?
be really scary. I would be very scared.
So it'll be entry number 34 that'll be coming in, and it is... Oh, it's a Chevrolet. The Tommy Baldwin Chevrolet. Brad Mojo in the 7.
Alright, let's see if Brad Mojo can bring some mojo here. We have him coming up on the highline right alongside McCrory, or right behind McCrory, rather. Playing it safe so far, as is everyone, it seems like. Jackson was... Oh!
Well, that was a little bit of an aggressive move there by Mojo.
I think he just darted down, was trying to avoid that stack up that took Hudson and a few others out, because it almost looked like it was about to happen again.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea on his part, too. But, you know, one thing that I did notice, too, Charles Jackson, he's so familiar with this track. You saw him on the back bumper of Austin Weiner, but he went about a half groove lower, and he was allowing the air to get to his grill in order to cool down the engine, so that way he was still able to keep tucked up behind the 43, but he didn't get close enough to eliminate him. So Charles Jackson, he definitely knows how to get around this track and how to deal with different cars, although... Ironically enough, the last 2 seasons that he's won, it's not been with this mod, so he's got a little bit of learning still to do.
He does have a little bit of learning to do, but I find that once you get used to a track to a point where you can even call yourself a veteran, and Charles is the definition of a veteran at this track, no matter what you're racing at the track, you can generally have a good feel for how it's going to be.
I mean, you think about the diversity of his wins. I mean, back in the 3rd annual Royal Rumble, Charles Jackson won. It was a GTP car where they were going 280 miles an hour. Whoa, Brad Mojo. I think he was trying to get out of the way, but he almost eliminated himself in the process, but fortunately kept it still on track.
McCrory is all over Mojo. Okay, they let each other slide in. This is really antsy now, though. We have these 6 guys, and like I was saying, or like you were saying earlier, rather, that once we get to 6, it starts getting really, really antsy.
And, you know, we were talking about earlier about maybe how this thing was rigged, but it was just irony with those 3 Michael Waltrip Racing Toyotas. Well, the 36 and the 7, Zygarde, the recent entry, and the 7 of Mojo, coming in one behind the other. They're both friends, and they're both in Tommy Baldwin Chevrolets.
Oh, that's something. I'm sure we've had something with the Fords. There's something with the Fords stacking up too in terms of lineup. So this is definitely rigged stuff. I don't know what kind of random.org program you were using, but
the NNSCRA version of random.org. But I did notice too, Charles Jackson out of turn 4 that time. I don't know if you saw it, but he actually went up there to that outside line, almost playing with fire. There is a little bit of tempers flaring there between Weiner and Zygarde, but all of them will make it to the next round and take on entry number 36, that being the 15 of Ian Siegel.
okay. Good to see Siegel out here, but like you were saying about Charles Jackson earlier, I did notice that he was taking that high line, but I also noticed another thing. Oh, bro! Speaking of Charles, getting a little testy there with Weiner. But actually, McCurry's gone. Damn it!
McCurry out? Was he out?
Yeah, he's out. All four on the green right there.
Now, the 17 was close too, behind him. I don't know if he's out or not. We're actually going to use the front camera off Ian Siegel to see for certain. We're looking at the back of Kyle Collins, and does he go off? Yep, he's off.
Oh yeah, both of them.
So Kenny McCurry out of this, and so is Kyle Collins.
Man, I need a new hat now.
Now you need to find a new guy to root for.
Yeah, I'll figure it out eventually. But
Let's see, who's been in the longest now?
I actually have no idea. I haven't been keeping track anymore.
Longest one is Austin Weiner. He's only been in though for 7 rounds.
Alright, well we'll see how Weiner can hold up. Back to what we were saying about Charles Jackson off 4 earlier, like about 2 rounds ago. Charles, I did notice that he was taking that high line off 4, but I also noticed he's one of the very, very few drivers who didn't get any tires off the track coming off of 4.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. Yeah, he was able to actually run the high line and make it work. We've seen Silver Fox, Breeden try doing that, and it hasn't worked out. And there's an elimination for Charles Jackson, as he just took Webster Zygarde off the track in turn 2.
Charles, I'm not sure if he's being purposely aggressive or not, but he's taking him where he can get him, and that's the sign of a true veteran. He has been in this position before. He's taken people out, and that's definitely the way to do a textbook elimination there, too.
I'll tell you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing 2 different Charles Jacksons depending on where he starts in each one of these segments. If he starts at the front, he's aggressive all over the back bumper of the leader. But if he starts at the back, he's willing to run back there, try and stay out of everybody's way. So I think it really just depends on where he is when these segments take place.
And that's what the sign of a true racer is. You have to learn how to adapt to your situation, and Charles is doing just that for the most part.
So Webster Zygarde is gone. Kyle Matthews will move on to the next round. We get ready now for entry number 38.
Oh, we're getting up there.
Yeah, we're getting up there for sure. These are going by awfully quickly, but as you can see, the eliminations have been fast and furious as well, as there'll be Kyle Thomas in the 16 out of Roush Fenway Racing. Now, Nathan Hudson, now I'm not saying that this is necessarily going to mean anything, but Hudson was in a Roush car, and he lasted a long time. Okay.
What were you saying about Roush cars?
Well, forget that idea. I did not say a thing.
Not all Roush cars are created equal, my friend.
Oh, man. So that was Ryan Acosta, and it looks like Ian Siegel is also out. Acosta's car actually stuck up at the very top of the racetrack there.
Ouch.
Up on the hill. And it looks like Brad Mojo is the one that does the eliminating here as he gets into the 16, down to the 15, and Mojo able to keep it on track. Yeah, 7 cars stayed on track. Nicely done.
Well, the Mojo is finally here. It's kicking in now.
So 2 eliminations for the 7 of Brad Mojo. Kyle Thomas now, let's see, Kyle Thomas, I think that might actually be the shortest amount of time in this thing, isn't it? Because Breeden lasted till 3. Kyle Thomas was eliminated out of 2.
2. Okay, well, I guess I could probably
It's a new track record.
I don't know. Was one of Villanueva's eliminations on someone who just came in, though?
Actually, yeah, you're right. It was actually, let's see. It was Derek Pemberton, and who was the other one?
Forget that.
Okay. Oh, never mind about that. Oh, my goodness.
Hard hit for Srigley. Is that Srigley?
Yep, Srigley and Austin Weiner off track. I think somebody else went off track, too, but I'm not certain. It might have been the 7th. Someone went onto the grass, I think, up on the hill.
Ouch.
Oh, there you see it right there. Yep, off on the right side of your screen. That was the Brad Mojo machine. He's off track.
So we only have 1 car right now, then.
Wow, look at Charles Jackson.
The 33 of Kyle Matthews?
No, Charles Jackson also win.
I think Jackson still here? Alright.
Yep.
I don't even see him on the track, that's why. Alright. So Jackson and then Matthews still on.
Yeah, they'll move on. And I'm trying to remember still who that other driver was. I know Derek Pemberton was one of them. And I'm trying to think of who the other one was. Was it Corbett, the 56, that maybe was the other one that got turned off the track right at the start-finish line?
I can't recall for the life of me. I probably should have been keeping track, but if that was it...
it might have been Corbett.
We'll take a look back at it, but I think, yeah, if that was it, then he has the record. Well, I don't think that record can be beat for the quickest elimination.
So now new entry is going to be Lyndon Wright, and just like that, with all the chaos we just saw ensue on the last round, only 3 drivers here, as we are now up to entry number 40. We are nearing into our final 10 now to be able to try and see if they'll survive into the final 10 lap segment for this. And Charles Jackson, you know, I don't want to make any bold predictions, but with the way he's racing, and we've been singing his praises this whole time, it looks like he is definitely making a case for himself to get into that final 10 lap segment.
Definitely, because, I mean, that big elimination right there definitely helped his chances as well, because although there are less cars to aim for now and there's more of a chance that he'll get out, there are also less cars to wreck him.
Yeah, and I would honestly think, now that we're nearing into the final 10, that these drivers are going to be a lot calmer in their racing. They're not going to be quite as keen on elimination, because this is getting really close now to the final entries, up to entry number 50. You see Anthony McCurry will be entry number 41. They want to make it. They really do. They have gotten themselves a good drawing number. They don't want to mess this up.
See, the problem with that is, though, is to the other side of that coin. You want to have as few other cars in that 10-lap segment as possible. So
okay, there they go. Lyndon Wright and Kyle Matthews. Well, there's 2 gone.
All right. Well, just as that seemed really quick, but other than that, you want to think, because if we only have, say, 3 drivers in that last 10-lap segment as opposed to 10, you have a big chance of winning that. You have a much higher chance
lessening
of
the odds.
That. Exactly. So they might be thinking, you know what, maybe we should get some of these guys out so that I have a huge chance at winning this 10-lap segment at the end.
But here's the thing, too. I mean, you know, great point there, but do you run the risk of trying to make that elimination? We've seen so many times today, yeah, drivers have gotten eliminations, but in the process, they've eliminated themselves. So is the risk worth it?
More than the risk, think about the talent. There are people who can make eliminations without wrecking themselves. We've seen Charles Jackson do it. We saw Nathan Hudson do it. Villanueva did it for a long while until she got herself out. So it's possible.
Sean Galligan comes in at entry number 42. I'm trying to remember, I think Sean Galligan was actually in the hunt for one of these.
Oh wait, Sean's my favorite now because I said 42 is going to win, didn't I?
I think you did, yeah. So Sean Galligan coming in the James McCloud spot here, and we'll see what he can do. And did you happen to notice the manufacturers on track again?
Oh my God,
they're all Fords again.
I don't know what you just said. This is kind of the randomizing didn't randomize quite too well.
Apparently not, because we have well, Charles Jackson came in at entry number 32. This is actually his 11th round. He's actually getting close to Nathan Hudson. Hudson lasted for, what was it, 17 rounds? 16 rounds? 17. So Jackson's getting close. If Jackson, actually, according to my scoring, if Jackson survives to the very end of this thing, then he will actually beat Nathan Hudson by 1 round.
Well, I don't know who to vote for now, because if I want to be a front runner, I could vote for Jackson, and if I want to stay true to my positioning, I could go for Galligan. I just don't know who to vote for now. Regardless, I'm not wearing either of their hats.
And it's interesting too, because we've got this drivers list in front of us, and there are still some names that haven't come up, and they're going to be in some good positions here nearing the end of this thing. You see Momo Akari there in the 14, she comes in at entry number 43, and yeah, there are still some big names that have not yet gotten on track and could be a factor in this 10-lap shootout if they can make it to the end.
Agreed. We have, I think, Poteet. I know he hasn't come up as yet. Actually, who else hasn't come out? I have no idea.
I don't think James Qualls has been out yet. So
yeah, Qualls hasn't. I'm trying to look through this list. I don't quite see that many people, though. Actually, it's really hard to pick out who hasn't been out yet, just because we've run through so many drivers at this point.
A lot of drivers. We're up here to number 43, and only 4 drivers there. That means a total of 9 eliminations. Corey Williams now on
big
track.
Name, actually, that we hadn't mentioned. But Corey in the number 3 car finally out here.
And now we got a Chevrolet to kind of join Momo Akari and break up this little bit of a Ford system here.
Don't jinx them.
Yeah.
Actually, don't jinx them. Yeah, it's the 2 Chevrolets that were running that really high line coming up on 2 right there.
Wow. Momo Akari kind of pushing Corey Williams there, and you saw Charles Jackson very gingerly trying to block Corey Williams. He of course, not very aggressive there to try and force him off track, but he tried to eliminate the 3 car. What?
Oh, they're
gonna
4
go
wide.
5 wide. Oh, they almost
Not
went 5 wide.
but 4. Oh my gosh, they're on.
Ooh.
The 2 Chevys are tailing the 2 Fords right there. And I'm not sure if Hikari's trying to get an elimination on or off of the 9 over here.
Don't know, but McCrory gonna at least survive as they cross the stripe. But, you know, too.
Oh.
Whoa! Little contact there between Williams and Hikari. But, you know, we're seeing this racing start to intensify with these guys now because they're kind of sizing up their opponents, thinking maybe that all of them may make it into that final 10-lap segment. They got to know what they've got in comparison to these other guys. And there's James Qualls. I said he hadn't been on track yet. He comes in entry number 45.
Yeah, Qualls looking really, really good in terms of how he races here. He's done, I think, fairly well in the past. And in general, hold up, elimination.
Galligan. Williams off, courtesy of Sean Galligan. Oh, and now Jackson eliminates Galligan.
Very, very well done by Jackson, actually. That was a really, really good opportunity. That's my pick gone. Thanks. Thank you, Charles. Charles, that was really, really good.
Galligan. Look at Galligan door banging Williams all the way up the track until finally off the track and
you know what? That's textbook Sean Galligan. Sean Galligan is, in general, an aggressive racer, and that door banging style is how he's been getting elimination. How he's always gotten elimination. But now Charles Jackson behind him.
Yeah, I think Galligan was concentrated a little too much on eliminating Corey Williams. He didn't notice Jackson was back there ready to make a move, and he made it, and Galligan is eliminated from this along with Corey Williams. We're now down to 4 drivers, and now we'll put in a 5th on the track, and it'll be entry number 46, and that is Cody Hagan in the 24.
Alright, Cody Hagan, my number 24. I do actually own a 24 hat, so it could be possible that I could wear your hat, Cody. I just choose not
to. Anthony McCurry kind of trying to deny you that.
Well, I'm too lazy to go get my hat from upstairs anyway. Go, Charles.
There he goes.
Cody's gone already.
There you go. Already gone.
Yep. Alright, so that was quick. Although, okay, no, Cody's just going to back out. He has chosen not to want to interfere with these guys, which is totally okay. Some drivers do appreciate that.
Yep. That's another good point you just kind of made there, is the fact that you don't really want to get on anybody's bad side, just in case you and that particular driver make it into that final 10-lap segment, because the last thing you want to do is be en route to winning this thing, and you got a driver that you've messed with a couple of times in a couple of rounds, right on your back bumper, trying to take you out of the thing for the win.
Which is exactly why when you make a move, it's good to make a move when you know you have the shot to eliminate the guy. For example, when Charles Jackson eliminated Sean Galligan, he knew he was going to easily be able to get Sean Galligan off the groove and out off of turn 2. Dylan Poteet, big name, really late in the race too here.
Yeah, Dylan Poteet, as a matter of fact, back in the very first Royal Rumble, finished runner-up in a photo finish, one of the closest finishes we've ever had here in Royal Rumble history to Aaron Williams, trying to get a little bit of redemption here for Royal Rumbles later, and as you said, got himself a great spot for this entry in number 47.
Yeah, only 2 or 3 more cars behind him, which is, it's good. Although, by the time we get there, we are going to have that big pack again. We're going to have, I think, 7 cars if all of these guys happen to survive. So, you're really going to have to play it smart, and I'm sure you're going to want to eliminate a couple people before we head into that 10-lap shootout.
Yeah, there you see Anthony McCurry jumping out of the line there, trying to give room to people. And as you said, 2 more entries. Let's see who's good. Or no, 3 more entries, I'm sorry. Let's see who comes in at number 48. As we've got right now 5 drivers that are trying to make a case for themselves and getting into the final round. And it'll be the 5 of Matthew Dallio. Now, we just saw Cody Hagan, one of the Hendrick Chevrolets, out here. We've also seen Joseph Strigley out here. But the Hendrick Chevys haven't really stuck in with longevity here in this race so far. We'll see what Matthew Dallio can do.
It looks like, actually, I don't know why, but it seems to me that the Chevys have the tendency to take the high line every time, a higher line than both the Fords and the Toyotas and the Dodges. It's always been the Chevys on that high side, coming off of 2 every time.
Did you notice how they came off turn 2 this time? They were double wide, 3 rows deep, but they weren't sliding up into each other like we saw happen earlier on in this event. So something's telling me they're being a little bit more conservative with each other as far as the racing, with the fact that we're drawing so close to that final segment.
I guess you were correct on terms of that. Yeah, I was thinking that they'd start turning it into a wreck fest just to make sure that they don't have too many drivers in that final segment. But you're definitely seeming to be right here in terms of how conservatively these guys are going to play.
Well, you could be very right, though, too, because we still have two more entries to go here. Entry number 49, Daniel Voiles in the 93. Now, we saw the 83 out here early of Joshua Balkowitz. Took that hard hit into the inside wall off of 2. Voiles going to try and do a little bit better in the second BK Racing entry.
Now, what I'm thinking here is Charles Jackson. This is the first time he's been up front in a little bit. I mean, he's been up front. He started up front before. But Charles hasn't had to defend against this many cars when he's up front.
Okay, there we go. That's Matt Dalio and Momo Akari eliminated.
Alright, that's 2 of them gone. Well, that actually completely takes away from my point, because I was saying he had a big pack behind him and they were all right on his bumper.
Oh, 14 was up on the top of the track. 14 over.
Well, the 14 was over anyway.
Already eliminated, but a wild crash to kind of make an exit, I guess. There you see it.
Well, might as well go out with a bang.
Yeah, might as well make the highlight reel if you're going to get eliminated.
Exactly. Well, that'll bring us down to 5. But again, that wasn't really that big of an elimination. Like I said, I was expecting a big one so far, and I think you might be right, Seth, to the point where they're just going to pick and choose, see if they can get a couple guys out, but they're not going to try and weed out this field and try and be the last person here.
Here's our last entry, Austin Mongold, drawing the lucky number 50 in the 51. That's a number that you're pretty familiar with, too, I think.
Yeah, I think he took my car this time, but I declined to race the Royal Rumble because I kind of wanted to commentate, but
hey, yeah.
It's alright. He can be my replacement driver.
So we got 6 entries here, and Charles Jackson looking a little squirrely back there. I would honestly think these guys would just ride around here for this segment to make it into the final 10, because I honestly think they want to make it into the final 10, at least have a shot, rather than run the risk of eliminating themselves in trying to eliminate somebody else. And looks like, yeah, looks pretty calm there off 4.
Yeah, they're giving each other a lot of, I mean, you can see they were all running different lines coming through 3 and 4. Although the 9 of McCrory right there looking a little edgy on the apron, but I think they'll hold it together, and you were definitely right, Seth.
There you go. Anthony McCrory, Dylan Pote, Daniel Voiles, James Qualls, Austin Mongold, and the defending winner of this race for the past 2 seasons, Charles Jackson. Those will be the 6 that will battle it out here for this 10-lap segment. We're going to step aside real quick. We'll be right back to fill you in on the events that have taken place, and then be right back for that 10-lap shootout. Alright, so after 50 entries, we now have 6 drivers in the hunt for this title. And from what we saw in that last segment, it looks like these guys are pretty well familiar with how they race with each other. Jackson, McCrory, Qualls, Poteet, Voiles, and Mongold. They are going to be the ones to battle it out for this thing. McCloud, who are you looking at to be the one to take this thing?
Well, you can't put a vote against Charles Jackson. He's now the longest running person in this race. He's been here more rounds than anyone else. He's the defending winner 2 times over. It's going to be very, very hard to put a vote against Jackson. We do have some other big names in there. We do have Anthony McCrory. We do have Dylan Poteet. I'm sure Mongold can pull something out of his hat because, I mean, he did come in his last entry, but he's fresh-faced and he's less tired, too, physically than all of these guys. So it could be anyone's race, but there's no way that you can't have Charles Jackson as your favorite here.
And I think that Jackson, as well as McCrory, have a little bit of an advantage, too, because they've been on track a lot longer. Poteet came in at entry 47, Qualls a little bit earlier at 45. Daniel Voiles only has had 2 rounds on track, and Austin Mongold only 1 round on track. So as far as what this track can do, what grooves work, where the best line is, who to work with, Charles Jackson and Anthony McCrory have the advantage on the field in that department.
I do agree in terms of that. But like I said, I mean, I feel like Dylan Poteet would know this track well enough. I think a few of these guys have raced here enough to kind of have a feel for how this track works. So and they also have 10 laps. You got to keep that in mind as well. They do have those 10 laps, provided they don't wreck each other.
And here's
to adjust to the track.
And also a new ruling, as opposed to the 50 rounds we just saw. If you get off track, you're not eliminated in this 10-lap shootout. You're still able to continue on. Charles Jackson eliminated quite a few drivers, but he had to really tiptoe around how he did it so he didn't eliminate himself. Now he can go all out and make the aggressive moves necessary to try and eliminate his competition.
Yeah, only wreckouts are eliminations now, I'm assuming, right?
That's right.
All right.
If your car can still go, you are still in the running.
Well, that makes things very, very interesting. Although I'm not quite sure how aggressive Charles Jackson would still be willing to be, because you do have to also keep in mind, if you do wreck someone out, it slows your car down considerably. And since it's a race now, you kind of have to try and keep up with those lead pack.
Exactly. You bring up a great point there. I mean, it's been you run around, you cool down, you run around, you cool down. There's no waiting now. When they get to the stripe after one lap, they still got to go around 9 more rotations. So Charles Jackson going to have to try and maybe do a little bit different of a strategy than he's been doing, which has been kind of riding at the back and everything, waiting for these rounds to tick away. He may have to be more aggressive getting to the front now.
Yeah, definitely. So there's lots of strategies to play out here. I mean, you can also ride around in the back, have everyone wreck each other, and just be the only one riding around on your own, and you could still win. It just depends on how, one, everyone else races you, and two, how aggressive you're willing to be in terms of taking people out.
All right, so James, are you ready?
I am very ready.
All right.
10 laps.
Yeah, 10 laps of racing, anything goes. If you go out of bounds, you are still in this thing. And,
well, unless your car dies.
Unless your car dies. If your car dies, then you're basically through. That's it. But, I can't wait to see what these guys do here. And we're going to get the timer going here. All right, so we got Voiles, we got Jackson, we got McCrory, we got Mongold, we got Dylan Poteet, and we got James Qualls. How likely are those 5 that haven't won this thing before going to be to gang up on Charles Jackson, do you think?
I don't think they're going to gang up on Charles Jackson, mainly because he's the guy with the experience. He's the guy who's been winning it. They're actually going to follow him. They're going to do what he does, and I don't think they're going to try and wreck him out.
So he's going to be like the Pied Piper.
In the beginning, at least. He's going to be the Pied Piper is what I'm predicting here.
Well, we're about to find out. We got 2 Toyotas, we have 3 Fords, and we have 1 Chevrolet. We only had, I think it was, what, maybe 3 Dodges that were in this field or something? I think it was.
Yeah, so I mean, the likelihood of them being in there
yeah,
that high.
The odds weren't in their favor.
Dodge. There you go.
There you go. Hey, we got a Dodge on the field.
Manufacturer representation, rather.
I can guarantee you, if it were Ralph Mason, he would choose the safety car. So.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, we have 3 Fords, so the majority is Fords, not something that we haven't seen this Royal Rumble so far.
You're right. There have been a lot of Fords in this field, and a lot of them all together at the same time on the track, and so it'll be interesting to see here. Now, we've said it at the beginning, we'll say it here at the end. There are no teammates, but in the early stages of this 10-lap shootout, are there friends?
There are friends. Well, everyone's Charles Jackson's friend right now. You do not want to mess with the person who has, 1, the most experience in general, and 2, the most experience today as well. He's been here the most rounds.
Exactly right. Charles Jackson going to be a force to be reckoned with, but he's got 5 other competitors who want to beat him in this thing. Here we go. Green flag is out. It'll be 10 laps of racing again. Just to reiterate the rules over and over, if you get eliminated, you're not eliminated because it's anything goes, and unless that engine dies on you, you're still in the running for this thing.
I never did ask you, Seth, who do you think is your pick today?
I'm going to go out on the limb. I'm going to say Poteet because, you know, it's been a long time since I've actually seen him up here in the challenge for the win. It's been all the way back since the first Royal Rumble, and he lost out to it by inches. I think he's definitely looking for some redemption here. And also, we don't really think about Dylan Poteet as much as a restrictor plate racer, so I think he's got something to prove.
He definitely does, and he's actually, I mean, he's not racing it too hard right now. Charles Jackson, though, all over the bumper of McCrory right there.
Yeah.
Trying to see if he can make something work early.
And I like the strategy there that you saw of James Qualls and everything. I mean, you and I know, we've seen Talladega and Daytona races. It doesn't take you very long to get from the back to the front at these particular type of tracks, and so, you know, why not ride around to the back, wait until the laps tick down, and then make your move?
Granted, it is going to be slightly harder. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be really hard at all, but it'll be slightly harder just because there are less cars, so there's less of a draft to work with.
But also, if you're further back, less of a chance to get into somebody and end up having them get into you and possibly take you out of the running of this thing.
Yeah, no point wrecking your car that early, and I think McCrory's using that strategy to his favor right now.
One thing we're noticing right here that we probably didn't see very much of in the elimination races, which you know, obviously they were 1 lap, but still, is a driver kind of out in front and kind of leading this field around. That's Daniel Voiles right now. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to be doing this for the entire 10 laps, but this is unusual to be seeing a driver getting out ahead like this and not really having much of a challenge.
Granted, like you were saying before, that whole staying in the back strategy does work. Being up front can work also, but the problem is you leave yourself vulnerable to getting spun out at any time.
Now, this is Talladega, so, some restricted plate rules are going to apply. Could this be strategy on these guys' part? Let that 93 get out there and then maybe get a draft together and run him down and it'd be the proverbial sitting duck like we've seen so many times.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, and quite honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, a little bit farther on in the race. Right now, they're getting racy 2x2 with every car other than the leader, so Voiles has clear sailing, but that can change at any moment.
And it's interesting, too, we come down to our final 6. I mean, we went with 6 cars on track just about every single time 6 cars got on track. There was some elimination that took place each round. We have not had any driver yet even go out of bounds in this one. Oh, there goes Qualls. There goes Qualls. As soon as I say that. And Qualls is off the track.
See, the weird thing is that nobody else really slowed down there. Generally, when you eliminate someone, there's a big gap that you end up losing to the leader. This time, it looks like pretty much everyone's stuck together.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that basically, well, and in all honesty, too, I mean, yeah, there's a wreck up ahead of you, but if you end up getting out of the gas and you lose the pack, then you're basically taking yourself out of this win, too. You kind of cannot let off the throttle. You got to keep your foot in the throttle the entire 10 laps.
Yeah, it's not like you're worried about trying to stay off someone or here or anything, because, I mean, if you have someone spinning in front of you, you push right through them, because, yeah, like you said, losing that draft is absolutely killer here.
Now, for those that don't remember, Zeke Marley, after they had crossed the line on one of the rounds, he actually got spun out of the racetrack and didn't have much damage, but damage is on in this race, and it has been during this entire Royal Rumble. Now, James Qualls obviously is going to be pretty damaged after flying off the banking there, but I did notice a little bit of a donut hole on the 3 of the left side of Charles Jackson's machine. Now, that doesn't look like that slowed him down, but it has caused a little bit of damage on his Ford.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to hurt him too bad as long as he stays in the draft, because that draft really, I mean, even if you have some damage, unless you have engine damage, it really doesn't affect that aero package as long as you stay tucked up behind someone. And Charles is enough of a veteran driver to know that.
And it looks like the battle again is going to rage on there for second. Mongold and McCurry were working together for a moment to try and reel in Daniel Voice, but Daniel Voice has done a pretty good job of controlling the draft, or maybe it's just the fact that they've been more concentrated on racing with each other, but I think he may get a little bit of a challenge now, as I think both Mongold and Pokey got a little bit better of a run out of that corner.
They did get a better run, but look, that being side by side, it just kills their momentum. Now they're going to be, 3 wide coming down the back straightaway? Voiles is going to be able to hold this for now.
Yep, and it looks like Anthony McCurry's going to try and dive bomb turn number 3, and it's got to be difficult for these guys, too, because maybe not as much for Mongold, and maybe not even for Voiles, because they came in entries 49 and 50, but for Charles Jackson, for McCurry, for Poteet, they had to be in the mentality of, okay, we got to survive, we got to eliminate people if we have the opportunity. Now, that's completely changed. The mental game has completely changed. Now it's try and get to the front and win this thing.
Yeah, but they only have 3 more laps to do it. This is a pretty short race. I mean, this is much longer than what we've been running, those 1-lap segments, but 10 laps is still a very short distance. We can be done with this in 2 minutes.
Yeah, this is going to really go by quickly because we don't have caution flags. Oh, Poteet's out!
There goes Poteet.
And he was eliminated by McCurry. So now there are 4.
Poteet with major damage on that hood right there, so even if he gets back rolling, it'll be tough for him to catch up at all.
So now Qualls and Poteet are gone. Now we're left with Voiles, Mongold, Charles Jackson still there, and McCurry, who caused that elimination, we can safely say, of Dylan Poteet. Anthony McCurry right now in the 4th position, and we're coming to 3 to go at the line.
Now this is going to be interesting, because Mongold, this is the first time Voiles has only had 1 person stalking him the whole time. Usually there's been a battle for second, but Mongold has nobody on his tail right now. Now let's see if we can pose a threat to Voiles right here.
And another thing I noticed too, when we had our different races here, our 50 different segments, a lot of times there were actually battles for the lead where drivers were able to make the move on the leader, the driver in front of them, without the assistance of drafting help. So Mongold might be able to do that if he can get a good enough run down one of these straightaways.
Yeah, it seems that, I'm not sure if Charles Jackson's quite damaged or if he's hanging back, but he's definitely not pulling up to Mongold's back bumper like everyone else has been. Again, not sure if it's strategy, but it leaves Mongold with a wide open opportunity to try and take down Voiles.
I thought maybe that Anthony McCurry might work with Charles Jackson there for a minute, and maybe there'd be like 2 different 2-car tandems, but apparently not. McCurry trying to go for the 3rd position. And it looks like they're still going to remain side by side as there's now 2 more laps to go, and Voiles looking very good right now, but Austin Mongold still within striking distance, and those other 2 back there, don't count them out yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Mongold's waiting for the last lap or if he's waiting for what he is waiting for, but It's definitely looking like some sort of strategy. It doesn't look like he's slow or anything.
No, and I'm trying to look to see now if Charles Jackson's going to be able to keep in Anthony McCurry's draft. It didn't look like McCurry got around Charles Jackson really easily, so I don't think Charles Jackson is off the pace. And now McCurry is going to get actually quite a bit of a draft, I think, off the back of Mongold. It may end up being 3 cars here up at the fight if Charles Jackson can't reel in these guys.
I know, but Charles Jackson, it doesn't seem like he's losing the draft. I really can't tell if he's just slow now because of that little ring on the side, or if he's actually, or if he's just playing strategy. But there's only 1 lap to go.
One more lap to go, and McCurry's going to go for second underneath of Austin Mongold. So now comes the big one more time. Wow, that was a lot of lag there. Apologize.
All right, Mongold's coming back under McCurry now. This is going to be really tough. I think Voiles might have it locked up at this point.
Yeah, Voiles, I mean, we only saw him for 2 rounds, and now here in this 10-lap segment, he really has kind of kept them at bay. I thought we'd see a lot more battling for the lead here, but apparently not, as they're going to come out here on turn number 4, and yeah, it's about maybe 3 car lengths back to Austin Mongold. I think Voiles has got this thing in the bag.
Yeah, it should be all him. Now the battle's for second, but nobody remembers second place. It's going to be Voiles winning this thing, looks like.
Entry number 49 going to take the big one here today. Daniel Voiles wins the 10-lap shootout, and he is the 5th annual Royal Rumble champion. And Charles Jackson so close to making it 3 for 3, but not going to be able to do it here. But, man, right there, those 4, they're the survivors of this race, but Voiles is the one that's going to be remembered.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jackson put up one heck of an effort, as did Mongold, as did McCurry. Got a feel for Qualls and Poteet, but definitely Voiles controlled this whole last 10 laps and deserved this win.
Yeah, and you gotta really give Voiles credit too on the fact that not as much experience as some of these guys. I mean, he came in entry number 49, only was able to get about 2 rounds of experience, and Mongold was only able to get 1 round of experience. But there you have it. Daniel Voiles is going to be the 5th annual Royal Rumble winner, and boy, it took us a long time to get to this point, but we finally got it done, and looked like we almost ran into a helicopter.
Well, that's okay. He deserved to run into a helicopter.
Burger King for everyone tonight.
Yeah, Burger King on everyone.
Oh, man. But, man, it took us a long time to get to this point, but at the end of the day, it's Daniel Voiles besting 49 other drivers in this 5th annual Royal Rumble. And James, I want to thank you for joining me. I know it was a long time coming. We've been dying to do this together. We finally got it done, and it was a lot of fun.
We waited, what, 6 months? I think
it's been about, yeah, I think it's been 6 months. We should really look back. I should put a little asterisk down here at the bottom of the video of when the signups actually went up, as opposed to when we actually now have recorded this.
It's been a while, but I am very, very glad we got to do it, and this was one hell of a race. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I loved it too. It was great, and it was great having you in the booth. Excellent commentary, and we should do this more often.
I am all up for it. Thank you very much for having me, Seth.
Alright guys, so hope you guys also enjoyed this 5th annual NNSCRA Royal Rumble. If you did, be sure to give this video a like. Subscribe to become part of the crew today. Also be sure to subscribe to James McCloud's channel. Link to his channel.
I never put up videos.
Subscribe to it anyway! Subscribe to it anyway. Just subscribe to it because he's the sexiest man in Enter 2003. That's the only reason, the only thing you need to know, and that's the only reason that you need to subscribe. That's it.
Okay, yes, this is actually quoted via Sean Henley. Sean
Yep.
Henley has guaranteed that I am in fact the sexiest man in NR 2003.
I mean, if you subscribe to that, I mean, can you imagine you're going to be able to say to your friends, you'd be like, I'm subscribed to the sexiest man in NR 2003 on YouTube, and they're going to think, wow, this guy's really something.
Exactly, see?
You automatically, you go up a peg in your friend's eyes if you're subscribed to McCloud.
Okay, I will agree with this. Go ahead and subscribe to me.
I wonder if we sold it.
Highly doubt.
I doubt it.
I mean, I don't put up any videos, so it's not like I can annoy them on their subscription feed.
Well, that's true too. But anyway, okay. So anyway, yeah, we're not going to be.
We're all good.
We do not have a future in door-to-door salesmanship. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. We hope that you guys enjoyed, and we hope that you guys will, let us know in the comments on how we did as far as commentary and everything. And thank you to everybody that signed up. I know that there were some people that wanted to sign up that weren't able to. McCloud. And,
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, there will be a 6th annual Royal Rumble, and I'm very greatly considering having McCloud back in the booth for that, because this was fun.
Yeah, this was definitely fun, and I'd be more than happy to do it.
Alright, so, thank you all once again so much for watching. I think it's the 3rd time I've said this, but we will see you guys next time as you've been... Yes, 6 more months. 6 more months of waiting. We'll have the sign-ups tomorrow, and then we'll have the race 6 months from then.
There we go. That would make sense.
There we go. Perfect. The anticipation is worth it. So we'll see you guys next time. You've been watching another production of the NCRA, Offline Racing at its best.